Morning. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishvavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. So we had completed the 9th sloka of chapter 3. So we are on the 10th sloka, which we will chant. So please unmute yourself and we can chant the 10th sloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Sayagnya Praja Srishtva Purovacha Prajapatihi Anena Prasavisyadvam Eshavo Spishta Kamadhuk Okay, so first the words Sahayagnya Prajaha Srishtva Pura Uvacha. So Pura Uvacha is broken into Pura plus Uvacha. Pura Uvacha Prajapatihi Anena Prasavisyadvam Eshaha Vaha Astu Ishta Kama Dukaha. So that last word, Ospishta Kama Dukaha, is broken into Eshaha Vaha Astu Ishta Kama Duka. And the Anvaya will be Pura Prajapatihi Sahayagnaha Prajaha Srishtva Uvacha. Then there will be a dash, hyphen, Anena Prasavisyadvam, comma, Eshaha Vaha Ishta Kama Duka Astu. So look at the sentences. We can break this into several sentences. First will be Puraha Prajapatihi Prajaha Srishtva Sahayagnaha Uvacha. So Puraha, in the very beginning, Prajapatihi, the creator, Prajaha Srishtva, having created human beings, Sahayagnaha, along with Yagnya. So in the beginning, the creator created two things. Human beings, Srishtva, Prajaha he created, and Sahayagnaha, along with Yagnya also he created, and Uvacha. So Sahayagnya, Praja Srishtva, Pura, Prajapati Uvacha. Having done the creation of the Praja plus the Yagnya, Prajapati Uvacha, he said. What did he say? Anena Prasavishyadvam. Prasavishyadvam is may you multiply. So prasavam you say, right? Prasavam is used for birth. So may you multiply. Anena, by this. By this may you multiply. What is this over here? The yagnya. So using the yagnya, by this yagnya, may you multiply. May you have many more. And then he said, Eshaha. This Eshaha here refers to yagnya. So Eshaha Ishta Kama Duka Vaha Astu. So Vaha means you. Ishta Kama Dukha is basically Kamadenu, right? Kamadenu is a wish fulfilling cow in the scriptures. In the Puranas, you'll find. So Ishta Kama Dukha means the cow which fulfills whatever you want. Ishta. So he says, may this yajna, eshaha yajna, ishta kama dukha vaha astu. May this yajna be a wish fulfilling cow for you. So in simple words, having created human beings along with yajna, yajna the rituals. When did he create? At the very beginning of the creation. Having done that, the Creator said to the human beings, Prajapati said to human beings, may you prosper, may you multiply using this yajna, and may this yajna be the source of all your desired objects. So, a simple understanding. Now let us see. Why did he say this? What is yajna? Yajna is a sacrifice. And therefore, by saying this, Prajapati is referring to the Vedas, where the Vedas prescribe rituals, sacrifices as a way of life. Why do they do that? It is for the harmony and the progress of all beings of society. So we have said before also that the Veda is like the life manual. So like when you buy a car manual comes with, you have to use the manual, and then once you understand the manual, you can use the car appropriately and properly. Similarly, the Veda is life manual, which comes along with the creation itself. And why are there instructions in this manual? Because why does the car manufacturer give you a car manual? Because the manufacturer is the one who has made the car. He knows the product inside out, and therefore he will know what is the ideal way of handling the car. And therefore all that knowledge he puts into the manual so that you as the buyer can use the car properly. So the instructions are not meant for the manufacturer's benefit. The car manufacturer, Honda or Hyundai, he doesn't need the instructions, but they are meant for the benefit of the user, of the buyer of the car. And therefore the Veda is compared to those instructions. And by following those instructions, Bhagavan is not going to get any benefit. So you are going to get the benefit. And therefore we say, Bhagavan created the world. And having created the world, Bhagavan feels that to get maximum benefit out of this life, you should know how to live the life, how to get maximum benefit out of your life. And therefore, Veda, the manual of life, was created. Right. Now, what do you mean by this maximum benefit? There are 4 Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Maximum benefit means the person who follows the manual properly, the Veda properly, he should be able to attain all these Dharma, Artha, Kama. And finally, so Dharma, Artha, Kama, Purushartha, he should be able to attain. And final Purushartha also, Moksha Purushartha also, he should be able to attain. Therefore, Krishna is saying, follow this Vedic manual, lead a life of yajna, and you will prosper. If you ignore the manual, just like if you ignore the car manual, you will find that you will be destroying the car. If you ignore the life manual, you will be the cause of your destruction. And therefore he says, Prajapati hi Prajasrishtva. Lord Brahmaji, Hiranyagarbha, having created all the living beings, which of course includes human beings, right? But here, why are we giving the interpretation of human beings to Praja? Because Praja can be all living beings. Why are we giving the interpretation of human beings only to Praja? This is how you should analyze this sloka. When I said Sahagnya Prajasrishtva, you can interpret both. Praja can be all living beings, Praja can be human beings. But here we are saying human beings only. What is specific in this sloka which is giving that interpretation?
Because it's only human being who has the capability of using that user manual's thing to realize
It is because also the word in the shloka comes the word for your the kamadhuk, for your desires. So does that
Yeah.
also?
So basically, Kamadukha, right? So it is because he is giving the Veda, and the Veda can be given to human beings alone, right? Because Vedas, why are the Vedas to be given to human beings alone and not to monkeys and cows and donkeys?
Because human beings have the capacity to interpret.
Vedas are moksha shastra, and only human birth, only in human birth is moksha.
Humans
we
have
have the
free will.
capacity of they have the intellect to use
Human
the
has the
free will.
intellect.
Okay, all your interpretations are okay, but there is one particular faculty which human beings have, which are not given to animals. What is that?
Free will.
The free
Intellect.
will.
Free will. Since human beings have a free will, which means they can either use the free will for good or abuse the free will, right? And therefore you need a manual. Only when you have free will, you need a manual. Now, for example, animals are said to be all programmed creatures. They don't have free will. So, our scriptures say that animals are programmed, they don't have free will. And if they don't have free will, then the life of the animals is in keeping with dharma. No animal can no animal can violate the harmony of Srishti because he doesn't have free will. No plant can violate the harmony of Srishti. No insect, no bird can violate the harmony of Srishti because he does not have free will. He does as he is programmed. And the programming is always, in accordance with the harmony of the creation. But man is not like that. Human beings have free will. And therefore, Vedas are given only to human beings. Animals don't need, because their program ensures that they do not disturb the harmony of the universe. In our case, Ishvara has given us a free will. It is a great blessing, but it can also be a terrible curse. So again, this free will is neither good nor bad. It depends upon how you use that free will. Just as we say, electricity is not good or bad. Atomic energy is not good or bad. It all depends upon how you use it. The same atomic energy can be used to run a generator plant and supply electricity to the city. The same atomic energy was used to drop a bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and destroy thousands of people. It is not the atomic energy which is at fault, it is the usage. The usage depends upon the free will. Therefore, the free will is the biggest problem. Human beings have got a lot of intelligence and free will. You can create a human society can be made into a Jannat, a heaven, or you can also create a Naraka, a hell there. So that reminds me of a story, very interesting story. I don't know, many of you may have heard it. So it seems that one man, he went to a palace. So in that palace, there were two big halls, separate places, two big halls. In both halls, people were there. Okay, they were all, they're different people belonging to the same kingdom. They were in both the halls. Now this kingdom, the people of this kingdom had a very peculiar ailment. Their hands could not bend. They had no bending at the elbows, right? The elbows could not bend, so the hands were absolutely straight. And therefore, in one room, he found that there was plenty of food in both the rooms. So in one room, he found that the people were starving because they could not eat. The hands could not bend. So they were putting their face into the pots and all that. And since the hands could not bend, they were not very successful. But in the other room, he found that everybody was enjoying, everybody was well fed. The same problem was that they also could not bend their hands. What was the reason?
They were feeding the other one.
Each person
feeding each other.
was feeding each other, right? So human being therefore can use his free will to enter into life sharing, or he can be a very selfish person and he can destroy his own life and that of others. And therefore this only the human being, because of that free will, he can get the greatest benefit of moksha. And therefore Krishna says, Anena Rasavishwaddham. Anena means by this, iske saath. What is the iske saath? What is Anena? It means with this life of karma yoga. Why is the context karma yoga over here? Because so far we have been talking about karma only. Therefore, in this life, in this chapter is what? Karma yoga chapter. Chapter on karma itself. And therefore, with this life of karma yoga, which is what? Which is the life of yajna, which Prajapati is referred to. Purovat, Saha yajna. With that yajna which the Creator gave you, yajna meaning this the style of life which is outlined in the Purva Veda, in the Karma Kanda. And the Vedas, remember, Shastra says, they came along with the creation. Whenever every creation begins, the Veda is also brought out. So with the creation, the Veda is brought out. Like as the car comes with the manual, with the creation also, Veda comes. And so therefore, this yajna life, this life of ritualistic life outlined in the Veda manuals, they have been created along with creation. And using that, Anena Savishwaddham, may you prosper. This is what Brahmaji says, Creator says. So this indicates the difference between a life of cooperation and a life of competition. I know in today's world, competition is the in thing. But Veda says, the scripture says, competition is a terrible thing for society. Because once there is competition, out of competition is born selfishness. Out of selfishness, all evils are born. Today they say the best in you is brought out by the competition, which may be true. But Veda says the worst in you is also brought out by competition. That is why you will find that in the Olympics, where the medals are at stake, there is sometimes cheating, there is sometimes drug use. Why? Because at all costs, I want to be the winner. And Veda gives this competition, it calls it a disease. And it gives it a name. What is the name?
The Bhavaroga?
No. There are 6 evils in our minds. What are they? Kama, Krodha,
Irsha,
Lobha, Moha,
Moha.
Irsha,
Kada
Irsha.
Matsara.
Matsarya.
Matsaryam.
Matsarya.
What's Matsaryam?
Jealousy.
Jealousy, the evil of competition. So, Veda says this competitive disease is a disease called Matsaryam. And according to Shastram, Matsaryam should be abandoned and replaced by cooperation. Cooperation means what? When your other person has a good life, you should be happy. You should not be jealous because the other person is doing well, maybe even better than you. And therefore, he says, Anena Prasviddham. Through that karma yoga, may all of you all uniformly prosper. Eshaha Ishta Kamadukha Astu. So Kamadhenu was a mythical cow, mythological cow. And there is a derivation. Kamam Dogdi iti Kamadhenu. You can understand? Kamam Dogdi. Dogdi is what? Is the milking of the cow. Kamam Dogdi. That entity from which you can milk out all your desires. Kamam Dogdi iti Kamdenu. That is called Kamdenu. So it can fulfill all your desires. Right? So remember, it's a scriptural heavenly cow, right? We can't go looking for it in our fields. But in the human field, what is this Kamdenu? What is that because of which you can fulfill all your desires?
By working hard.
What drives that?
Your motivation, your
buddhi. Your buddhi is the Kamadhenu. Human intellect is the Kamadhenu. It is because of the intellect that you can accomplish so many things and animals cannot. And therefore, Kamdhenu for us is a gift of the intellect. And what can it milk? Artha, Kama, Dharma it can milk. But not just Dharma, Artha, Kama. It can also milk moksha. If you are sufficiently intelligent and mature enough, that same buddhi can give you moksha also. And this intelligent way of living is karma yoga. And therefore Krishna says, Eshaha karmaha yogaha yeshaha yagnaha ishta vaha kamaduk. So yagnya ishta kamaduk. Take this kamaduk, take this yagnya as the producer of all your 4 purusharthas. So material and spiritual fulfillment will be given to you by Veda. Remember, Veda is not against material progress. Right? We don't curse the Zoom or the internet. We use it. Why? Because for us, anything which is given by the Lord only. So as a spiritual seeker, I did not condemn things like internet and mobile phones. I use them rationally. I use them reasonably wherever they are needed. I remember that we are all gifts of the Lord. So Veda says, gives, however, a corollary. However, don't be committed only to material progress. You have to bring in spiritual growth also. Otherwise, sorry? Okay. Otherwise, if you don't bring in spiritual progress also, then that simple materialistic lifestyle can be very damaging to you. Why? Because every human being is a mixture, is a mishram of matter and spirit, of anatma and atma, of purusha and prakriti. And therefore, growth in your life should be a well-balanced growth. You should have a material growth also. You should have a spiritual growth also. So scientific progress must be there. Spiritual progress must be there. What is spiritual growth? Discovery of the fact that I am the Atma. That in fact, I am the entire creation and the creator. That infinite expansion is the spiritual growth. Physically, our bodies cannot expand beyond a limit. Right? Physically, anything you do cannot give you an expansion even of your mind beyond a limit. Infinite growth is possible where? Only spiritually. Therefore, while Veda doesn't say don't pursue material well-being, please go ahead and do your material things. Ensure that while you are doing material things, the undercurrent of spiritual growth is present all the time. And the balanced pursuit of material, that is dharmartha and kamaha, as well as the progress towards your moksha, that balanced pursuit is called karma yoga. So we have to be alert. Why? What are the reasons given in the previous verse? We said kamaya prashyatiya, that is, we say kama karma and prashyata karma, they bind. In the previous verse we said that kamya karma binds and prashyata karma binds. And we said that nitya naimitya karma does not bind. So in the previous couple of verses we had outlined the nature of karma. We had said certain karmas are binding in nature, and those are basically kamya karma and prashyata karma. Of course, also nisheda karma. And we have said that nitya naimitya karma, which are prescribed by Veda, they are not binding, and therefore they contribute towards chitta shuddhi. They contribute towards your purity of mind. Now here, in this 10th verse, what does Krishna said? You have to connect this back to the previous verse. So not only are this nitya naimitya karma not binding, they will also give you positive results. They will be able to give you all the 4 purusharthas. And that's the meaning of Ishta Kamadaka. That ritual or that Vedic teaching which is able to give you all 4 purusharthas in this life itself. And Shankara adds in his commentary that Krishna wants to expand a bit more. And therefore he says that verse number 11 and verse number 12, the next 2 verses are basically a expansion of this 10th verse of the ideas contained in the 10th verse. Okay. So now let us chant the 11th verse. So please unmute yourself and we'll chant the 11th verse. Devan bhavayatanena
Devan bhavayatanena
te deva bhavayantu vaha
देवा भावयन्तु
परस्परं भावयन्तः
परस्परं भावयन्तः
श्रेयः परमवाप्स्यतः.
श्रेयः
Okay, so we look at the grammar portion as usual. Devan bhavayatah anena. So the first word has to be broken carefully. Devan bhavayatah anena te devaha bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantah shreyah param. That last word has to be broken. Param ma with alat. Param avapsyatha. Param avapsyatha. And in the Anvaya, so Anvaya will be Anena Devan Bhavayataha, Anena Devan Bhavayata, comma, Te Devaha Vaha Bhavayantu, comma, Parasparam Bhavayantaha, Param Shreyaha Avapsyatha. So again we can break it up. Anena Devan Bhavayata. So what does Anena mean over here? By this. By this means what?
By this yajna.
By this yajna. Bhavayata means you offer or you propitiate who Devan. So using this yajna, Anena Devan Bhavayata, you make offerings to all the gods, Devan, with this yajna. Anena Bhavayata Devan. Use yajna to make your offerings. And if you do that, Te Devaha Vaha Bhavayantu. Those Te Devaha, those gods, those deities, Vaha Bhavayantu. Vaha means you. So they, if you propitiate the Devas, those Devas will propitiate you. If you make offerings to the Devas, in return, Te Devaha Vaha Bhavayantu. Those Devas will make offerings to you, will give you what you want. Therefore, there is a mutual dependence. Right? So he says Parasparam. Parasparam Bhavayantaha. Mutually making offerings to each other. What is a mutual offering? You are offering something to the Devas, and in return, the Devas are offering you what you want. Parasparam Bhavayanta. Mutually propitiating each other. Param Shreyaha Avapsyatha. You will gain the highest good. Param Shreya. Avapsyatha means you will gain, you will attain. Param Shreyaha. You will attain the highest good. So a symbiotic relationship is being talked about. May you nourish the gods using this yajna, and in return, may the gods nourish you. Thus, in this manner, nourishing each other, you will obtain the highest goal. So here we're talking about karma yoga as yajna. Krishna says by following this karma yoga yajna, you are propitiating the gods of creation. You are propitiating the devatas. You're making them happy. All the devatas, remember, are presiding deities over natural forces. And when I am leading a life in harmony with nature, when I am not destroying the mountains, when I'm not destroying the forests, when I'm not polluting the rivers, when I am living a life of harmony with nature, I am propitiating the devatas. I am offering these actions to the devatas. These are my offerings. Who are devatas? Indra is the lord of rain. Varuna is the lord of the oceans. Similarly, you can take Yama and Prajapati and all that. These are all lords of natural forces. And when you say you are propitiating these devatas, the simple English meaning is that by leading a harmonious life, you are ensuring that nature is not violated. The harmony of nature is not violated. We talk about environmental, thinking today, that we should be doing this for the environment, we should protect the environment, all those things we talk. But so many thousand years ago, Krishna is already talking about that. Natural forces is environment only. So he's saying, lead your life in such a manner that you take what you want, but you make sure that nature is also not hurt. In the West, the Western way of thinking is so different from our way of thinking. If you look at the Western writings, they think they are conquerors. So they approach Prakriti, nature, as something to be conquered. So they always use expressions like conquering nature, conquering the skies, conquering Mount Everest, conquering space, conquering the oceans. For them, there is an antagonistic relationship. They look upon nature as something to be conquered. Shastram says, no. Creation and you are not enemies. You are not fighting with nature. You have to live in cooperation with nature. Right? And that is why we say Dharti Ma or Prakriti Ma. That is why Uma or Parvati is taken as the mother. Who is Uma? Who is Parvati? Nature itself. And therefore Vedanta says, don't try to conquer nature. Don't even think of it. Nature is not your enemy. She is your benefactor. That is why we give the name mother to nature, mother nature. And therefore he says parasparam, mutually. I and nature should live in harmony. There should be progress from both ends. Nature does not do anything to destroy you. Nature is, by nature, it is harmonious. If you can use your free will to make sure that you are in harmony with nature, nature will always nourish you. And therefore Krishna says, propitiate the devatas. These devatas are nothing but form of natural forces. And if you make sure that you are living in harmony with those forces, what will happen? Te devaha vaha bhavayantu. They will bless you by giving you plenty of rains. Seasons will come in time, rains will come in time, crops will be there. If you lead such a life, ecological harmony will be maintained. If you don't lead that life, you will find that ecological harmony is destroyed. You will find that there will be floods. You will find there is famine. You will find that there are holes in the atmosphere. You won't be able to live your life in peace. You cut the trees, rain will not come properly. In fact, in the Bhagavatam, there is a very beautiful comparison. Every tree that we have on this world is compared to the hair on the body of the Lord. And every river is compared to the blood vessels of the Lord. So if the rivers are being blocked, what are we doing? We are blocking the arteries and the veins. What is the result when you block arteries and veins? It is disease. Similarly, when you are polluting the river is what? Blood vessel. And therefore you are polluting the blood of the Lord. So Krishna is saying that please remember that between Manushya's and Devatas, between human beings and the gods, there is a mutual relationship is there. There is a symbiotic relationship. You can make it mutually assured destruction. You can make it a life of mutual harmony also. You can accomplish dharmartha kama, and in fact, even for economic prosperity, karma yoga is required. Right? We have got enough food for all the people to eat in this world. If you take the total food production in the world, the food needs of the entire world's population can be met. The greatest problem is not lack of food. The greatest problem is lack of proper distribution. So you'll find that in some places people are dying of overeating. In other place, people are dying of starvation. So Shastra says, you eat the food, it will nourish you. You eat the food with wisdom, it will nourish you. You handle it unwisely, and that same food, instead of you consuming it, that same food will consume you. Therefore, food should be consumed by human beings in limited measure. But the same food becomes the consumer of human beings when it is taken beyond a limit. What is the moral of the story? If you have more than you need, share, contribute. This life of contribution, this life of giving, that life is Karma Yoga. Okay, we will take one more verse before we break for some questions. So very, very deep verses. And since the commentary is based on Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, you'll find that there's a lot of meaning coming into it. Okay. So we look at verse number 12, sloka number 12. Please unmute yourself. Ishtan bhogan hivo devaha
Ishtan bhogan hivo devaha
asyante yajna bhavitaha Tairdattana pradayabhyaha Tairdattana pradayabhyaha Yo bhungate stena eva saha. Okay. So again, we look at the grammar part. So we break it up. Ishtan, bhogan, hi. The first word, ishtan, bhogani, breaks into ishtan. There is a halant below na. Ishtan, bhogan, again halant before na, hi. So ishtan, bhogani, vaha, devaha, dasyante, yajna bhavitaha. Then Tairdattana pradayabhya breaks into 4 words. Tai with a visarga, taihi. Dattan with a halan before na, below na, dattan. Apradaya and ebhya. So taihi, dattan, apradaya, ebhya. Yo bhungata, bhungate, stena, eva saha. Those are the word breakups. Now let's look at the sentence formations. So first, we'll break it up into different sentences, smaller sentences. So, devaha yajna bhavitaha dasyante vaha ishtan bhogan. You can follow. Devaha, the gods, yajna bhavitaha, who have been propitiated through the yajna. Devaha yajna bhavitaha. Those gods who have been nourished through your yajna, what will they do? Vaha dasyante, they will give you ishtan bhogan. They will give you the objects of your desire. So devaha yajna bhavitaha vaha dasyante ishtan bhogan. Those gods whom you have nourished through your yajna, they will give you the objects which you desire. That is the first sentence. Then saha saha yaha, that person who. So the first one is that these gods will fulfill your desires, providing that you have propitiated them through the yajna, providing that you have made offerings through yajna. Nourishing them through your yajna is an important part of life. So your daily yajna must be there. Daily worship of the gods must be there. And if you have done that, they will provide you with the objects of your desire. That is the first sentence. The second one is sahayaha bhungate dattan. The person, sahaya, that person who bhungate, enjoys dattan taihi. So dattan is gifts, taihi is those gods. So that person who enjoys the gifts given by the gods, apradaya, without offering. So here you have to supply, without offering a yajna in return. Ebhyaha eva sthenaha is indeed a thief. Sthena means thief. Yebaha means is indeed a thief. So two sentences have been carved out of this sloka. The first one says that if you have nourished the Lord or the gods through your yajna, then they will give you the objects of your desire. And supposing they have given you some objects of your desire, and you are enjoying them without actually doing the oblations, doing the offerings. If you are not doing any offerings and you're still enjoying whatever objects have been given by them, then sthena eva, then indeed you are a thief. Right. So Krishna says, when you lead such a life of yajna, such a life of worship, this life is what? As outlined in Karma Kanda, the Purva Veda. Then these gods will bless you with everything that you need, everything that you want. Supposing you say that I am not interested in dharma, artha or kama, I only want moksha, then that same rituals, that same Vedic lifestyle will ensure that you get chitta shuddhi, you come to an Acharya, he teaches you the scriptures, and then you will do Shravanam, Maranam, Nididhyasanam, and you will get moksha. So whatever you want out of that life, you will get, providing you have followed the Vedic lifestyle. If you are interested in dharma, artha and kama, then the same Vedic lifestyle, the same life of karma yoga will bless you with dharma, artha, kama. So this karma yoga is therefore a double-edged sword. It can give you material benefits from one edge, and it can give you spiritual benefits from the other edge. But which edge you choose, the Lord will not decide for you. You have to choose. It is your choice alone. And therefore Krishna does not criticize people who do not want moksha. There is nothing wrong. If you are not wanting moksha, you are not mature enough for that. And if you are interested in dharmartha kama, there is nothing wrong there also. The only condition scripture says that fulfill your dharmartha kama through the method of karma yoga, not through any illegitimate methods. Therefore, through Vedic methods, through legal methods, through ethical methods, do whatever is necessary to fulfill your goals. But don't take shortcuts to becoming doubly rich, quickly rich. Don't do that. Be ethical. And therefore he says, if you have done the Vedic rituals properly, if you have made oblations to all the deities, like Indra, Varuna, Agni, etc., Devaha dasyante, those very deities, those very gods, they will give you whatever you want. They will fulfill all your desires. When will they do that? Yajna bhavitaha. This is the condition. When those presiding deities are worshipped through rituals, through karma yoga. So this karma yogi, remember, will never exploit nature. Because whenever nature is exploited, the natural harmony is destroyed. And therefore, this karma yogi, understanding that, he will do what is necessary, not exploiting nature in any way, whatever. And therefore, devaha ishtan bhogan dasyante. Follow karma yoga. The gods will present you with all the purushartha that you need. Okay. Now here a question can come. Because we are talking about karma yoga, right? And you are saying that do karma and you will get the results. So you can say that if by doing karma alone, I am going to get results, what is the necessary to accept Ishvara? Because Ishvara is what? Karma phala data. He is the one who gives the fruits of the karma. Karma phala data is who? The one who gives the fruits of karma. But here you are saying that the very action is going to produce the result. Krishna himself is saying the very action is producing the result. And if the action produces the result, then why do I need a Ishvara at all? Okay, so here we should remember Upadesha Saram. Those who have remembered the first verse. Karturajnaya prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam. Ramana says, Kartur Agnya Prapyate Phalam. Any fruit, phalam, is obtained, Prapyate. How? Kartur Agnya. Kartu is the Karma Phala Data, the giver of the fruits. Kartur Agnya, by his command alone, Prapyate Phalam. Karma Phala is obtained. Karma Kim Param, Karma Tajjadam. How can karma give you any fruits? Because karma is inert. Very, very beautiful verse, constantly remembered. Karma by itself, to say that karma itself gives fruits is a misunderstanding. Karma gives fruits, karma gives the karma phalam because there is an administrator of the karma. That is the karma phala data. So, and therefore, the Shastra says that results are possible only because of the laws of nature. Because of the laws of nature alone, I am able to accomplish everything. Today's class is possible because of what? Internet and technology, the new technology, internet. And of course, it shows the grand capacity of the human intellect. But commentators write, the intellect can discover nothing new. If the intellect has discovered the internet, has invented the internet, the possibility of communication through the internet was already present in the creation. You understand? Transmission of video and audio waves was already present in potential form in the universe. And the discovery of that, the tapping of that potential, is what we call discovery of the internet. Nothing new has been discovered. What was potential form in nature, present in the potential form in nature, has now been converted into actual transmission. Actual video is there, actual audio is there. That law, the potential law, saying that it is possible to transmit video and audio through internet, was already there. That law is present. It's a natural law. That law no scientist has invented. The inventor of the internet has only tapped that law. Through those possibilities alone, the possibilities of these kind of happenings, these are what we call natural laws. No human being can produce even one natural law, right? And if I have not produced natural laws, then somebody else must have produced. And the producer of those natural laws is what we call Easwara, or the gods, or the Devata. And therefore, every time I enjoy something new, something phenomenal, I must remember that I have only tapped natural laws. And therefore, I should be grateful to the Lord for putting that potential there. The potential of radio waves, the potential of going into space, the potential of building skyscrapers, the potential of flying in a plane, all those are natural laws. It's already there. Nobody can invent those laws. They can only tap them. So Bhagavan has blessed human beings with a wonderful intellect. At the same time, he has blessed the world with infinite number of potential laws. The intellect which human beings have, it is the Lord's gift. This potential form of the laws, they are also Lord's gift. The human being's glory lies not in the production of the intellect or in the production of the laws. The human being's glory lies in using the intellect given by the Lord to tap the laws which are given by the Lord. That is the glory. And therefore, every time a new invention takes place which benefits us, I must remember that it is the Lord who has made that particular thing possible to happen, who has placed that potential law in the universe. In fact, Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, the very production of food is possible because there is a potential form, potential law which says that if you put a grain in the ground, that grain will grow. It will become a plant. And from that plant, you can get food. And therefore, Krishna is saying that as a human being, as a jiva, whenever you enjoy anything, all that you need to do is to remember that it is the Lord who has made this enjoyment possible. Remember that Lord, because of whom alone natural laws are there, and because of which laws alone I am enjoying the benefit. In fact, even your own physical health is possible only because of a series of biochemical laws. If you violate those biochemical laws, you fall sick. When you eat your food, what do? You put all types of food into your stomach. And there is this wonderful law because of which food is digested, nutrients are absorbed, transported to every part of the body, the waste is segregated and removed from your body. Every day, without fail, that waste is removed. Even if you get a fever, you may curse the rise of temperature. But remember that that fever is a grace of the Lord because it is killing the toxins in your body. Your immune system wants to destroy the toxins in the body, and that is why it's raising the temperature. Right? So if suppose, for example, there's a phlegm in the throat, it blocks the throat. So I can't possibly put something down my throat, a bottle brush, and clean the throat, right? So what do? The Lord has given you the method of cough. So whenever you're coughing, remember the Lord, glorify the Lord. Always, everything that happens is basically a glory of the Lord only. And the person who always expresses this gratitude, that is being referred to here. The person who never expresses his gratitude, Krishna says, Sthena eva saha. He is nothing but a thief. So look at the second line. Tairdattanaha. So Taihi means by the devas themselves, by the gods themselves. Dattanaha. Dattana is gifts. So by the gods, there are varieties of gifts, varieties of blessings in the form of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, food, clothing, shelter, technology. All these are Taidattana, God-given. And therefore you should say thanks to the Lord. And if you enjoy these things without giving the thanks to the Lord, he says you are an ungrateful person. And ingratitude is considered one of the worst sins in the Shastra. In fact, we have talked about Prayaschitta karma, right? So the Purva Veda lays down Prayaschitta karma, penance for all sort of papams, for all sort of omissions of commissions, all sort of sins, papams. But in the entire Veda, there is one papam for which no Prayashchittam karma are laid down. And that is the papam of ingratitude. So he said, Kritagne nishkratihi nasti. Kritagna means ungrateful person. Nishkrita means a method of removing that. So Kritagne nishkratihi nasti. There is no penance. There is no prayashchitam possible for an ungrateful person. For an ingrate, there is no prayashchitam possible at all. And this is what he is saying. Tayadattan ebhya pradaya. Ebhya means towards the Lord's. Apradaya means reciprocating. Without reciprocating to the Lord, without making your offerings to the Lord, if you enjoy worldly benefits, then you are a thief. That is why, that is the reason in traditional households, whenever you cook, what is the first thing you do? You place part of the food before the Lord. It's an offering, which the mental sankalpa is what? Oh Lord, because of you alone, I have got this food. And therefore, I keep the food in the front of the Lord. It's an acknowledgement that yes, whatever I received has been received from you only. Right? And therefore, Krishna says here, as Bhagavan, as Easwaran, he says, you need not offer this to me. Just say thank you. Just do a namaskara. And in most parts of the world, you will find that their religious texts and the practices, they divide life into two: secular life and sacred life. So going to office, going and playing games, going for parties, going for a picnic, these are all secular. And what is sacred? Going to the church, going to the mosque, going to the temple, these are sacred. But in our culture, this division is not there at all. There is no secular, sacred division because every action is a sacred action. And that is why you will find that Every car driver, before starting his car, he does namaskaram to the car. Before you start a factory, you break a coconut. Before you construct a building, you do bhumi puja. If you are driving on the roads and there's a right roadside temple, the truck driver will stop and put 2 rupees in that temple and then carry on. The cynical ones, the atheists will say all this is superstition. The Vaidika will say no. It's an acknowledgement of the presence of Easwaran. It's a token of gratitude. My whole life is one of reverence alone. Since a non-reverential life is classified as karma, a reverential life is classified as karma yoga. Karma yoga is a life where Ishvara is constantly present, constantly acknowledged. And therefore Krishna says, apradaya, without sharing. Without sharing indicates not just without sharing with the devatas, but it indicates without doing a Panchamaha Yajna only. And here Shankara gives a very beautiful comment. He says, when sharing with somebody, don't think that you are doing charity. When sharing with somebody, don't think you are doing dhanam, right? So you are only discharging your debts. Now, what is a debt called in Hindi?
Rin.
Rin, right? So Shankara says, he uses the word anarnyam. Anarnyam means free of rin. So when you are doing dhanam, you are doing anarnyam. You are only discharging your debts. There's nothing great that you are doing. And Shankara says there are 3 types of rin: Devarin, Pitrarin, Rishirin. So debt to the gods, Devarin. Pitrarin, debt to your ancestors. And Rishirin, debt to the rishis, debt to the wise people. And by doing Panchayagna, you are only cancelling this debt. And therefore he says, rename Dhanam. Don't say it is Dhanam. Call it Rin Nivrittihi, cancellation of debt. So when you, why is that being said? When you pay back a debt to somebody, you've taken a loan from the bank. You pay back that loan. When paying back that loan, do you ask what benefit I get? No. What is the benefit you get? You are free of that loan. And therefore, Rin Nivritti, the benefit is that you are free of the rin. So, the person who does not do this, sthena evasaha, he's a thief. Why? Because he is holding back the property of Vishwarupa Ishvara, of the Lord himself. By not giving back to others, by not giving back to the Lord, he is holding back what belongs to the Lord. That is also stealing. And therefore, Shankara says, the one who does not do dhanam, Krishna says that he is a thief. A very, very beautiful explanation. So with this, I'll stop. Any questions? You should hear these talks a couple of times at least and make the notes, because during the talk, if you make notes, you will miss the discussions. So if there are no questions, then we'll stop for today. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience, guys.
Thank you, Acharya.
Thank you.